So, hey guys, so like I said, I was gonna do reviews, and look, we read Triggerman. It's so good!
So this is Triggerman. Isn't it pretty?
First volume, it's very awesome.
It's the first volume. Yeah.
It's published by Triptych Books, and they followed me on Twitter, so hi guys.
Hi.
This is my friend Sola, and we alternated reading the book, so I read it first, and then she read it, and I asked her to join me because it's fun, and we picked it up
at Emerald City Comic Con together and chatted with the folks there, and they seemed really cool and explained the book to us, and it was basically described as a bromantic comedy with guns.
And you could never go wrong with that.
We really just couldn't pass up.
I know, we walked by and we were just like, oh, we need to pick this up, and by the time we went to pick it up, there were like 3 copies left, so we were
just in time.
Very happy to pick this up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so one of the main things we actually liked about it was the art style.
Mm-hmm. It's all in black and white, but the art is really soft and really well done and artistic.
And it really fits with like the noir style, but it's also like this really well done like modern noir that you're just kind of like, oh my god, I appreciate this. That
like the shading is really good, and I love that it's black and white because it does give that nod to film noir and the old-timey detective-y stories. Even though it's about hitmen, it's not about detectives, but it still has that same kind of vibe to it, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, not to mention, like, even though there are really, really, like, dark frames overall, you can still tell what's going on, because sometimes, you know, you'll be reading a comic book, and it'll have, like, everything really dark, and you're just like, I don't really know what's happening right now, but, like, in this, you could tell what was going on. Like, really dark car chase, you could still see what was going on inside the car, and what the characters were doing, all their facial expressions. It was actually really wonderful.
Yeah.
All the dialogue.
Oh my god, the dialogue. Like, when they say it is a bromantic comedy, like, they really do mean, like, the bromance.
True story.
So good.
It was very good. Like we kind of harkened it to if Ocean's 11, if that entire crew were all hitmen instead, like, it was very much, like, witty banter, and it was all perfect.
Yeah, it very much had that, like, Ocean's 11 boys club vibe to it, but in just a really excellent way. And of course, like, one of the lead characters' names is Matt, so Aubrey here made the connection to Mr. Matt Damon, whom I adore.
She has a picture of him on the wall over there.
I do, in fact, have a picture of him on my wall.
That helps.
So if that anyway.
Well, the other thing was, like, all the pop culture references, like, they were all, like, spot on, and they weren't overdone, and they didn't make the two of us, who are, you know, in our early 20s, feel like we didn't understand them. Like, they were things that we could instantly know what he was talking about, that we were like, oh, okay, like, we didn't feel too young for the dialogue, and we didn't feel too old either. So,
and I always love when comic books talk about comics in them. Like, I always really enjoy that. And there were a couple scenes where they were talking about reading comics as children, and I was like, this is excellent! I like this, it's meta! Kind of.
So, and the other thing was they kept a really good balance between, like, their friendship as characters and also in professionalism.
Yeah, definitely. That was something that I noticed, because it's difficult sometimes when you have these, like, kind of buddy drama comedy things. Like, you see a lot of television shows or movies about, like, cops, and, like, you have, like, the buddy cop comedies, and, like, they do the stupidest things, and it's like, how are you supposed to be good cops? Like, you clearly have no idea what the fuck is going on, and you're just rambling at each other, and it's funny, but it's not realistic to the style. And here it was, they walked that line really well between, you had the comedy between the characters, and it was hilarious, their banter, but you could also see that they could and were good at their jobs. They could do their jobs well.
And they genuinely cared about each other, too. Like, you could tell that they were like, oh, yeah, we're friends. Like, we've been friends since high school, and we kind of got into this business together, so no wonder we're trying to get out of it, or at least one of them was. So,
not anymore.
Anyway.
Now they're stuck.
The other great thing was that it had, like, a really, like, wonderful, cohesive story, too.
It did. Yeah. And, like, I loved because it had a great cohesive story, and, like, it had enough, like, backstory to it where, like, I'm really interested in knowing, like, in reading the next volume, and, like, it had a kind of a cliffhanger ending without being an annoying cliffhanger. You know, like, you felt like there was enough of a story there to feel satisfied, but also be interested in knowing, like, with the little hints that you got of the backstory of these characters, to know more about them, to read the next volume without being like, I am dying without the next volume.
Well, we
which
kind
I
of are.
appreciate. We are, but not terrible. I mean, it's not like, the end of Sherlock season 2.
Oh
Death.
God. Tumblr. Anyway, but and the other great thing was that they did a really nice nod to like sexism and like the noir genre. That it was kind of like, oh, that's so nice that you don't in all of these like detective films you don't actually see a woman like participating and being the detective or being the one that's just like, oh, I gotta go kill this guy. Like, peace out, guys.
And I love because one of the characters, like, that Matt gets called out on his sexism, and Jason's like, dude, we shoot guns. Women can shoot guns. like
it was just perfect.
We're not better than this.
Like, it was very appropriate that Jason was very much like, hey, like, why are we keeping women out of this? Like, they can clearly do the same thing.
Yeah, it was really cool. And as, 2 female readers, we appreciated that, of course.
So, not to mention, they had very different personalities. Like, Jason and Matt were very different. Like, Jason was, despite their job of being hitmen, he was also, like, very optimistic and like, he thought everything was a joke. And Matt was just, like, dead serious.
He
like,
was the straight
dude,
man.
We need to keep on track. And Jason's like, whatever. Like, I think this is funny. So.
And what I liked about it, though, is that you got enough of the backstory to know that Matt probably wasn't always that serious. And that, like, you could see hints of their friendship and their banter, and like, considering the fact that we've known each other for a very long time, like, I enjoy reading other things with banter similar to like our style of speaking to one another, and so that was enjoyable.
It was. So, quick predictions on what we hope is going to be potentially revealed in future volumes, particularly the second one. Like, Jenny and the teacher.
I know. I'm so interested to know more about the backstory of the English teacher. And, like, why he died and how he died and all of that. And I am predicting that it had something to do with Matt and that was possibly his and Jason's first job. But we'll find out.
I know. And also, we really loved Ian as, like, a side character.
So much.
That we kind of, like, there's a part of us that wants to see him as, like, their, like...
wingman.
Yeah, their wingman.
Sidekick.
Yeah, that's kind of just there, but they're like, you're unimportant, go sit in the car. Like, he doesn't need to be there. Like, he can just be there as kind of like their buddy, but not really.
I really enjoyed him as a character.
So, also, Jedediah, hands down, favorite support.
More Amish.
That was brilliant.
Oh my god, that scene was brilliant.
I know, so well done. It was well paced too. Like, I love the pacing in it, that you got just enough of like the pacing that it didn't all feel. Like, some of it did escalate quickly, but it was all, like, perfectly done. Yeah. That you didn't feel like all of a sudden you were like, oh, there's something happening.
Now they're fighting, or now there's a death, or, something like that. Like, it did have good pacing.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything to complain about.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we will probably be back and do another one of the comics that we bought at Emerald City Comic Con.
Maybe about Bold Riley.
Probably about Bold Riley, because that's the only other one the two of us have read so far.
But it's so good.
So, anyway... Thanks for watching our first edition of our review section of books. This will probably become a normal thing. So, yeah. So, anyway, stay excellent and don't forget to be awesome.